This is Open Line Weekend with Carl Ames. To be a part of the program, call 321-1310 or toll free at 1-877-235-1310. Now here's Carl Ames on News Talk 1310 WIBA.
How you doing? We usually like to have a lot of fun on these afternoons. Well, we don't have to. It just turns out that way. But today we're going to be talking about two really scary things back to back. The first thing we're going to talk about are ghosts and all that surrounds them, whatever they are. And after that, we're going to talk to a person in Chicago who is the Regional Communications Director for Medicare and Medicaid, who on his day off is willing to talk to us about Medicare Part D, which stands for debacle. So if you are struggling because your deadline is Monday the 15th to get this done, and you know what happens if you don't, if you wait and sign up later, that's a 1% interest for the rest of your days on your Medicare prescription premiums. If you wait 2 years, it's 2%, and so it goes. So I know a lot of people are still struggling with it. If you are, or you know someone who is, maybe your parents, anybody, remember, tune in at 4:30 for sure if you're interested in asking questions about Medicare Part D, because we will have an authority here from Medicare and Medicaid. He dares to come on with us. Robert Herskovich is his name. He's out of Chicago, and he will be on the phone with us to answer your questions. So, again, make a note of that. If Medicare Part D is important to you, you're confused about it, something's wrong, you have questions, you can't get anybody to answer the phone, or they're talking through their hat, or you are, whatever, we understand, and so I thought it was important to get somebody on for you last-minute people. If it's any example of how we do our taxes, I'm sure there are folks out there who are not doing their Medicare Part D till the last minute. So be listening for that. In the meantime, do you believe in ghosts, Chad?
I'm a bit of a skeptic myself. I believe there's something there. I'm not sure that it's dead human beings.
Chad, ironically enough, after that statement, has a website called... there's no "the" in front of it. It's Nocturne Society.
Right. And
that website serves what purpose, Chad?
It's a sounding board to let people know about upcoming paranormal events, paranormal things happening in the news, and some great stories. We have a monthly audio program as well.
Well, let's get some terms defined before we get into this and talk about what we're talking about. Paranormal, does that include ghosts?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Does it include bending spoons, seeing numbers as well?
In my definition, not really. Paranormal to me is something like a mystical being, be it a ghost or be it an unknown creature or that type of thing. Otherwise, I think it kind of dips into metaphysical, like psychic abilities and that sort of thing. Well,
you absolutely shocked me just a moment ago when you, Chad, who has a site about the paranormal, a website, and has an I don't know what you call an organization of people who you funnel information to and from, would say that you were a skeptic regarding ghosts. That surprises me. Can you explain that? Explain yourself.
It's always, you're a skeptic till you see it. Yeah. I've seen some strange things. I've had some strange things happen, but nothing that I couldn't really, without a shadow of a doubt, say wasn't caused by something else.
All right.
So until I actually see it for myself or end up there, I can't really say that it's absolutely, without a doubt, there are ghosts out there.
So what you've heard that are kind of scary about ghost events or paranormal events are things you've heard? You've seen maybe some evidence that somebody's proposed to you or showed you?
Yeah, I've seen some. You always hear people giving EVPs, which is voice phenomenon, electric voice phenomenon, where they record a sound that is supposedly a voice. But the problem with things like that and photographs are that people tend to make things that possibly aren't there. Like you see a photograph of a cloud and you can pick a face out of it. And that, in our terminology, it's called matrixing. People matrix a lot. And that goes for voices or pictures.
All right, if you have questions, by the way, join us. This is a two-way street here. 321-1310. We're talking to Chad, the Nocturne Society, and we're talking about ghosts, paranormal, and many things unexplained. And so as I ask you again, is there such a thing as ghosts? And you would say?
I would say I think there's something there.
You think there's something there? Whether
humans cause it with unknown to them whether they do it themselves without knowing it, or if there is an actual entity, I can't really be sure.
Well, in a minute, we're going to have somebody join us and see what her answer is. Jennifer Laur, who is head of the Southern Wisconsin Paranormal Research Group, and we're going to put her on the air with us in a few minutes to see what she thinks. Now, Jennifer actually goes out and hunts ghosts, or I don't know if they're Ghostbusters because they haven't found any to do anything. Right. Here's Jennifer. Are you with us? Hello, Jennifer.
Hello?
Hi, Jennifer. You're on the air. This is Carl Ames and Chad were with us, and thanks for taking some time to join us. I know you're on a cell phone, and so we'll try to be articulate.
Okay, great.
I just asked Chad a question. I want to ask you a question, the same one. Are there such things as ghosts? Are there ghosts?
Are there ghosts?
Yes.
Yes, because we don't really know what they are yet. I guess people label ghosts, and according to their label, I guess it's a very strange and hard question to answer, because until we know what a ghost actually is, we don't know if they exist.
So is there a synonym that you use in your business that you're more comfortable with than the word ghost?
No. It's whatever you want to call it, I suppose. And it's just, scientifically speaking, we don't know what a ghost is comprised of.
Now, your organization, the Southern Wisconsin Paranormal Research Group, spends a lot of time looking for ghosts, correct?
Correct.
And you have equipment. In layman's terms, I've read a list of your equipment, and I don't understand much of it, but in layman terms, what does your equipment do to sense the presence of something unexplained?
Well, pretty much what we do is we have different equipment that'll detect different environmental changes, and we look for the environment to change when a personal experience is happening at the same time. So that's pretty much, in a nutshell, what we do. We track like electromagnetic fields, radiation, ions, static electricity, humidity, temperature, just a lot of different environmental information in one area at a time. And we also track personal experiences during that time. So if something happens or we collect something data-wise, we always kind of check, how do I explain it, very easily.
Well, you've done ghost hunting in this area in Madison, have you not?
Yes.
And you have on your website several challenges that you went to do where people call you up and say, I got a problem here. At any time, did you find what you thought were evidences of a presence of something like a ghost?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, what we can say is we found things that the environment changed, or there was something happened that we can't explain. Yes, absolutely.
What do you mean the environment changed?
Well, I think one of our bigger cases was done at the bar next door up in Madison. It's right across from the Coliseum.
Right, over in Nolan.
Yeah. One major thing that happened over there was we had equipment on the second floor set up to detect electromagnetic fields and radiation. And then we had the same type of collection of information, data collection down in the basement. And we had a monitoring system set up in the second story that was monitoring the basement and the first floor and the second floor all at the same time. So it was like a video camera, so we could see what was going on. And our equipment kind of went crazy on the second floor, and then we started picking it up in the basement as well, like immediately afterwards. And then we caught something fly through the basement, and we clocked it at doing about 68 miles an hour.
It's kind of slow for a ghost.
Well, we don't know. What is a ghost?
Well, we're back to that, are we?
So all we can do is find differences and changes.
We're talking to Chad here from the Nocturne Society, and we're also talking on the phone with, you have one of those names, it's two first names, so I remember I called you Laurie earlier, but your name is Jennifer Laur. And
Jennifer Laur.
Huh?
Laur.
I'm sorry, I did it again. Anyway, you're from the Wisconsin Paranormal Research Group, and our phone number is 321-1310 if you want to call and talk about ghosts, because that's what we're talking about, whether you have seen one, whatever. So we will hold that thought, and I ask that you stay on the line with us, Jennifer. We take a break, make some money, get to reality, and then come back and talk to more about the unexplained.
Right.
This is News Talk 1310 WIBA. This is Open Line Weekend. Once again, here's Carl Ames on News Talk 1310 WIBA.
How you doing Saturday afternoon? We're talking about ghosts. I want to remind you that at 4:30 or so, we're going to talk about Medicare Part D with someone who knows what they're talking about, that's certainly someone because the rest of us don't. Anyway, he's the Regional Director of Medicare and Medicaid out of Chicago, Robert Horovitz, and he will be talking to us and answering any questions you have at the last minute about this mess called Medicare Part D. I don't have time to express my entire opinion on that. Besides, right now we're talking about ghosts. We have Chad in the studio with us. He runs a website called the Nocturne Society. And Jennifer Laur, the head of the Southern Wisconsin Paranormal Research Group, is on the phone with us. And I thought we had a caller. Yes, we do. And we're going to put you two together. Hello, you're on the air.
Yes, hi, how you doing?
Good.
My name's Chris. I actually work at the Coliseum Bar and at the bar next door. So I have heard all the stories and actually seen a little bit. But my question do you think the age of that building, and that's approaching 90, has anything to do with all the things that go on there?
I don't know, Jennifer, what do you think?
I think history plays a big part in paranormal activity. A lot of it could be residual energy, just could be there from a long time ago. It could be a lot of it.
This energy thing, and I've read about, this is part of the theory that energy can not be created or destroyed, just altered, right? That's the old, what theory?
That's Einstein's theory, correct.
Yes, that's one of those. And so that's how you sort of equate that to the energy that you receive from paranormal activity is, I don't know what I'm talking about.
I think residual energy, for reasons that we're really not sure why it happens, but sometimes a place, say the bar, for example, can act like a battery and store or capture a moment in time, and at different times replay itself. So if you see a woman walking through the bar, that probably happened at one time, and the bar stored it like a energy. It's called residual energy. It's something that happened in the past. It just kind of replays itself every once in a while.
Chris, did you see anything go on at that bar that was a little weird to you? Besides the customers.
No, the woman that ran it for 2 years, Christine, told me two stories. One was an actual physical witness. She'd been poked several times and had eerie feelings. But once she was training a bartender, her sister, at the end of the shift, they counted up the till. It was $7 short. They said, well, no big deal. Let's just go and turn off the light. They went upstairs, and then lying on the pool table was a 5 and 2 singles. And they swear to that story. They believe it. They weren't playing tricks on each other. To this day, though, she'll tell you that.
Where are you, at the airport, Chris?
Yes.
Oh, how can I tell? Well, I appreciate your call and your input, and we'll keep talking about ghosts.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Chad is laughing at that story, and I don't know if he laughed because he just loves a good ghost story. Gave me a little little goosebumps. But I guess Chad is kind of the chronicler of reported ghost-like events in the area, and Jennifer, you're the one that goes out and hunts it down, I suppose. Can we?
Yeah, I can't afford the equipment.
Who buys that equipment? Is that expensive stuff you use, Jennifer?
It's very expensive, yes.
Who buys it?
We do. The group does. We have fundraisers, and of course we have our annual conference. And
that's coming up, isn't it?
Yep, September 10th, yes.
What happens at the Paranormal Research Group conference?
Well, actually, this year we have world-renowned, famous, big guy, parapsychologist Lloyd Auerbach coming in. Chad, do you know who Lloyd is?
I'm not familiar with him, no.
Okay, he is one of the leading parapsychologists in the world today. So we're really excited to get him. He was very hard to get, but we were able to to do it. So we're really looking forward to that. We also have vendors come in, different types of people will. We have people to do like psychic readings and that kind of fun stuff. We also have, we talk about all of our case findings, different investigations that we've been on, and we show evidence of that and that type of thing. So it's an all-day event.
Yeah, I went to it, was it last year, I believe?
Was it last year?
Or was it the year before? It was a pretty fun time.
Yeah.
321-1310. We're talking about ghosts and the paranormal with Chet and Jennifer Laur. And, what else? Oh, I wanted to ask you, Jennifer, what are the things in the Madison area? Then we want to get on to cryptozoology. But what are the places in the Madison area renownedly haunted? You know,
well, there's a lot of places. Science Hall, I think, is one of them that's been reported haunted. There's a lot of different reportedly haunted places. I can't say that we've investigated all of them or even the majority of them. We go out. Our group kind of goes out throughout the whole entire Midwest, so we don't stay local that frequently.
I believe the Muskie Lounge was always known for
the Muskie Lounge.
Being haunted.
Huh.
Yeah, and then there's that. What's that theater downtown too?
The Strand? No.
I can't remember the name of it. I wasn't there.
So old buildings. Only you got to give the ghost time to generate some stuff or something.
Well, the
Orpheum Theater.
Orpheum.
Yeah, the mental hospital on Verona Road I get a lot of people emailing me saying that place is haunted, but it's pretty easy to say a mental hospital is haunted.
321-1310 if you want to tell some ghost stories. We're talking to some people who just love them at WIBA. My name is Carl Ames, and again at number 321-1310. Let's switch to the Beast of Bray Road. Who is that? What is that?
Supposedly a werewolf-like creature that last time I heard, it was seen on the Isthmus.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A werewolf was seen on the Isthmus.
It's a pretty good story.
Wow. A
guy and his girlfriend got in a fight, and he went for a walk. And it was late at night, and he said under a streetlight as he was approaching it, he saw it looked like maybe a dog. Yeah. And he got it closer, and he's like, well, no, it doesn't look like a dog. And then it thought, well, maybe it's some drunk guy sitting on the ground. And he said as he got closer, it looked like maybe two dogs. And then finally it stood up and turned and looked at him, and it was a beast-like creature. And he went running back to his girlfriend. And she actually let him in, I guess, to call the police.
Yeah. Well, something.
Yeah. Linda Godfrey actually wrote 2 books on the subject.
Right, yeah.
She's a local author.
Yes, I know her.
From Elkhorn. Yes, I know her too. She's my cousin.
Well, she is.
Yes.
She's the one that told me that.
Well, she also wrote a great book about this murderess.
Yes.
And I forgot her name, and I forgot the name of the book, but otherwise I remember it.
Poison Widow, I believe.
Poison Widow. Great story.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's get back to cryptozoology, if you can, briefly, which is, what does that mean? Cryptozoology.
Beast, Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, chupacabras, that type of thing.
Jennifer, do you ever get any calls to search for a beast of some sort, or are they all beasts in a way?
No, we've never. We pretty much stick to ghosts and hauntings.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And so, I don't know if I asked you earlier, I'll ask you again. And you've done, how many would you say, investigations with your equipment?
Oh, us probably over the last 7 years or so, we've probably done, probably 100 or 200 maybe.
And these are local and regional calls, Wisconsin, right. and people just call you up and say, hey, I got a ghost in my house. Can you help us out?
Pretty
Something
much.
like that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How are these people's frame of mind when they call you? Are they frantic? Are they fraught?
We've had a couple that are absolutely, you must come right now. I've had a few like that. But the majority of them are, I've lived with this for this long. Yeah, if you can't come out till the weekend, that's fine. I understand. That type of thing. We also have about 150 questions, comes in a question set that we do send people and ask them to fill out before we will go out and do an investigation. It does cost quite a bit of money for us to do an investigation, so we want to make sure that this person is, as you said, of the right mind, and at least feel that what they have experienced is true to them.
We're talking ghosts with a couple of people who know about them. Our phone number is 321-1310. We welcome your phone calls. We'll be back to talk more after these messages. And here's that weather forecast: cloudy and cool, scattered rain showers tonight, low 42. Tomorrow, Sunday, Mother's Day, a high of 56, cloudy again, but not as cool. But there will be periods of light rain. What else is new?
Open Line Weekend continues now on News Talk 1310 WIBA. Once again, here's Carl Ames.
Do you believe in ghosts? Is there such a thing? Have you seen a ghost? Has someone you know been upset because they sense the presence of a different kind of energy that they can't discern? 321-1310 if you'd like to tell us your story. 321-1310. We're talking to Chad, who is has a website called Nocturne Society, and also to Jennifer Laur, who is head of the Southern Wisconsin Paranormal Research Group. Jennifer is more of the kind of person who does field work. She goes out and tries to find the ghosts, and Chad just sort of collects information, and you're like a giant funnel, Chad. You just bring the stuff in and sit and report it back out. Jennifer, what were we talking about? Were we still talking about cryptozoology? Yes. Beasts. And what we were talking about was you've done over 100 missions in this area. That includes Madison, Janesville, and parts on all sides of us. And most of those were because people called and asked you to do such.
Right.
How did they find out about you? If I found a ghost in my house, I would look for you too.
Most people jump on the internet.
Okay, and there you are.
Yep.
Do you charge for this?
No, absolutely not.
You want to watch out for the ones that charge.
Really?
Yeah.
Since they can't necessarily produce results. And I suppose that, ghosts' existence has been neither proven or disproven. Is that correct?
That's absolutely correct.
Right.
But yet and so it's up to each individual to decide what they want to believe based on the evidence that's been shown so far by people like you. Chad, you're more of a skeptic. Jennifer, you seem to think there is the existence, at least, of this unexplained energy.
Yeah, I think there's something there, but not sure what.
Okay.
I think everyone, like I said, generally thinks it's dead grandma, and
right.
Not necessarily. That could not be the case.
Right. There's several theories out there. Ghosts are.
Yes.
Everything from, as Chad said, your dead grandma, down to a human agent haunting, which is actually energy coming from a human being. So it's very, there's just so many different variations of what you would consider a haunting to be.
You mean a living human being is
yes.
emitting energy that has enough power to affect you?
Yes.
And that's more into the paranormal range.
That's parapsychology.
Parapsychology, yes.
Mm-hmm. Right.
All right. And that is something, what you're saying is that could be the explanation or it could be something totally separate.
Right.
This gentleman named the former magician James Randi. You know him?
Yes.
The Amazing Randi, he called himself. And he has for 5 years, actually was less money at first, he had a $1 million prize to anyone who could show under proper observer conditions, evidence of any paranormal, supernatural, or occult power. And he has, that was like 10,000, and somebody else kicked in some money. Now it's up to 1 million. And he has his rules. For example, if you're a mental spoon bender, you can't use your own spoons. If you're going to see auras, you'll have to do so under controlled conditions, and I don't know what they are. If you're going to do psychic surgery, I don't know what that is, or experience the stigmata, you have cameras watching every move. So far, Mr. Randy has not had to spend a dime on this other than publicizing it.
Okay.
We've had quite a long time to look for ghosts and explore the amazing psychic energy fields around us, many before us and many ahead of us. How come nothing's really shown up on this that we can get our teeth into, so to speak? How come we can't prove anything?
I think science is finally starting to see some psychic abilities in animals. They're finally starting to see that birds can find their way in the dark using energy fields and following apparent ley lines in the earth. So I think things are starting to turn towards them seeing it in a better light, hopefully.
Although there's never been an instance of someone who has died making contact with the alive world, right?
Right.
Okay.
Well, there hasn't been proof of that.
Right.
But is that because this energy, whatever you want to call it, a ghost, spirit, whatever, puts an implied image in the person's head and projects an image of themselves? Or is there actual mass there? That's one of the things that we've been trying to discover. We've had times where people have experienced seeing a ghost, and we've had a video camera on them, but no actual mass has shown up, but they've stated that they saw an actual person standing there. So what we're trying to detect is it actually some kind of ESP-type thing being implied into the person's brain to see that? It's also a known fact that an over excess of electromagnetic fields applied to the human brain can cause forebodingness, a sense of presence, fleeting images peripherally. And there's just so many different types of energies that can be caused. The human brain can react differently to different types of energies. But
that could be a power line or
exactly.
A cell phone, for all we know.
Well, it has been documented that an over-access of EMF, electromagnetic fields, applied to the temporal lobes of the human brain can cause fleeting images and a foreboding presence. They've taken it into a science lab, and they've had it happen 10 times out of 10 times. So it's true.
When we went to the Valeska axe murder house,
yes.
There was a big, huge power house next, right across the street.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, same thing.
Well, yeah. So do you subscribe to the parallel world theory at all, Jennifer? The belief in the Chad said it was it's old hat that now it's the string theory, but the idea that there's a parallel universe that energies cannot normally cross but occasionally do or something. That's about as much as I know about it.
Oh, you're talking quantum theories, right?
I guess
right.
I am.
Physics.
Yes, of course I am.
Okay. My theory, I guess, my main theory through all of this paranormal stuff is never say never. Because there's been so many times that people have said, oh, that could never happen. But, 10 years from now, we found out that, hey, that's true. So I try not to say never or no to anything, just because there's always the possibility that could be the thing that's really happening.
Jennifer, how did you get in? I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
How did you get into this in the first place? Did something scare the doodly out of you and you wanted to find out more? Or what would bring you to seeking ghostum?
My dad was this huge advocate of afterlife experiences, and I remember when I was just a little kid, he and I would just sit and talk for hours about everything, UFOs, even aliens, and afterlife, what happens when you die, God, just ESP, I mean, just everything. We would just have these long conversations about everything. My dad was kind of a philosopher and had different theories about different things as well. So I think he was my main inspiration for really pursuing this type of field. And then when I got older, most people kind of get out of that. You know, you get all creeped out when you're in your teens and stuff, but then when you turn into an adult, you kind of lose that. But I never did. I guess I'm just a big kid.
Well, tell me your scariest ghost hunting experience, if you can pin it down to one or two. Let's tell some ghost stories.
I think before I even started investigating the paranormal, I had something happen to me, like you said. Some people usually have something happen to them that really get them interested. But I did have something really strange happen to me that to this day I can't explain. And I had just laid down to go to bed. I was in my grandmother's house that my grandmother had owned for several years, and my grandfather died in the house. And it was the bedroom that they had slept in for 40 years. And I was sleeping in it, and I just went to bed, so I wasn't asleep yet. And I just laid down, was staring at the wall, and I heard and felt this, whatever it was, just go like that into my ear, like a whisper, like a really quick, fast whisper. And I actually could feel breath on my ear. And oh my God, that scared the heck out of me. I was like, what was that? So at that point, I proceeded to pull the pillow up around my head and sit there and shake. And I was about 20 at the time, I suppose. And I'm not going to tell you how old I am now, but it was a long time ago. And after about 2 minutes, I had the pillow pulled up around my head, and I felt it again as though the pillow wasn't even there. I could feel the breath on my ear, and I could hear the whispering. And ever since then, I've been seriously investigating the paranormal, just because it was something that had taken me through such a event. It was mind-blowing to me, and I still, to this day, have never experienced anything quite like it. I've had certain things happen, but nothing that apparent.
Let me interject by asking you, the listening audience, if you believe in ghosts. If you don't, whatever, give us a call, 321-1310. I'm beginning to think that line, do you believe in ghosts, is maybe not the way to ask things anymore. I'm learning already. We're talking to two people involved in ghosts and the paranormal. Chad, who has Nocturne Society website and is sort of a chronicler of things that are happening around here. And again, a lot of these things that Jennifer's talking about are local or at least regional. And Jennifer's head of the Southern Wisconsin Paranormal Research Group, and well, you're not a Ghostbuster because you haven't found one yet, but you go out and try to determine their existence. What would that title be, Jennifer?
Paranormal investigator.
Paranormal investigator. BI.
Well, yes. Jennifer described it once. Not to me, but I heard in an audio program she was on where she said there are two different kinds of people. There are ghost hunters, which jump out in the weekend, run around cemeteries. Right. And then there are the paranormal investigators, which are more scientific and more into parapsychology and study it, correct?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I think that's a great definition.
Chad, what's your most memorable or the ghost story that has affected you the most?
Ghost story-wise, my family had a ghost, and it was it was in my grandmother's house. I didn't realize at the time, but I would go over there on the weekends and mow her lawn. And she had a room for me upstairs, and I had a bed and everything up there, a desk for me to do my homework, and I'd stay the night. She'd come pick me up, and I'd stay the night after I mowed her lawn. But at night, she'd always tell me to come downstairs and sleep on the couch, and I never understood that. So I asked my mother once why I can't sleep upstairs at grandmother's house, and she said, well, because there's a man that watches you while you sleep. And I said, come on. She said, no, that's why they built the addition to the house, because when we were little girls, he would stand there and watch us sleeping. And I said, this sounds like a bunch of hooey to me. And she said, if you don't believe it, go ask your father, because we stayed there for a month after we got married. And my father's a very no-nonsense, serious man. He doesn't like to kid around. And I went and asked him, I said, is there a ghost in my grandmother's attic? And he said, I don't want to talk about this. And after 2 weeks of nagging, he finally told me, he said, Chad, you're never going to want to go to your grandmother's again. But when we were up there, she woke me up in the middle of the night. She said, Mike, there it is. And I opened my eyes, and he said, Chad, it looks so much like a man standing there that I jumped and tried to grab him. And from then on, we have always talked.
You didn't go to your grandmother's house anymore.
Right. Well, they unfortunately got separated years later, and my youngest sister and my mother moved in with my grandmother. And she heard footsteps upstairs all the time, and one time she was home alone. They were in town getting groceries, and my father got a call, said, can you please come and get me? There's someone knocking on the door. And this was out in the country in rural Iowa. So he said, okay, I'll be there. And he shows up, and she's sitting in the yard. And he said, Ann, why are you out in the yard if someone's knocking on the door? And she said, it wasn't the front door, it was door to the upstairs.
I see. So
that was always my favorite story.
How about you, listener? Do you have a ghost story? Call us at 321-1310. Chad, Laurie told her personal experience about why she got into this. Did your sudden demise from a heart attack and revival inspire you to do this, or were you into it anyway?
Well, it was pretty inspirational because I was contacted by I don't know if you call her a psychic or a clairvoyant or what, but she warned me of it ahead of time. I didn't know who she was or ever met her in my life, but she said something bad's going to happen to you. I have to I'm contacting you because I was told to contact you because something bad's going to happen. Let's
come back and find out what, if anything, happened after these few messages. We're talking about ghosts and the paranormal with Chad and Jennifer Laur. Our phone number 321-1310. Join us if you dare. We'll be back after these messages.
This is Open Line Weekend. Once again, here's Carl Ames on News Talk 1310 WIBA.
How you doing? I have to remind you that at 4:30 or so, we're going to be talking about Medicare Part D with an expert from Medicare Medicaid, Communications Director of the Regional Office down in Chicago. He will be on the phone with us, so if you have Medicare questions for yourself or your parents, please stay tuned and get your questions ready. We'll have them on for an hour, and that's your chance. Or are you all set for Medicare Part D? You don't need to worry about it. You got it done early. There is something like 6 million, I don't know how many people in Wisconsin, about 150,000 who have yet to sign up. So if you're one of those people, like me, be sure and be tuned for that. In the meantime, we're talking about ghosts with Chad and Jennifer Laur. Chad was about to tell the story of psychic experience he feels relating to a heart attack, but we have a caller first. Let's see what's on their mind. Ann, how are you?
Good. How are you today?
I'm good.
I have to admit I never believed in ghosts, but an old boyfriend of mine had a bar on Lake Okauchee by Economwalk, and windows would slam for no reason with no wind. Different every single bartender or person that ever worked there, and they called her Grandma. And there was a fire on the third story of the building. It was a speakeasy in the 1900s, and there was a fire and a woman was killed. And they lopped off the third story of the building, and to this day there is a ghost in there.
Well, Ann, you said you didn't believe in ghosts, and now are you saying you changed your mind?
Well, one night I was upstairs in the apartment above the bar, and there was a remote control for the TV and a separate one for the VCR. They were not hooked up together. And I turned off, went up physically. Actually, there wasn't a remote for the VCR, and I turned off the VCR by hand, and I turned it off, and the movie stayed in there. I didn't eject it. And then I went around the corner to the bathroom, and then I heard the chocolate lab making some really strange noises. And I came around from the bathroom, and the tape was rewinding on high speed, and the dog was up on its hind legs in the air going around in circles. And there was a chill in the room, and all of a sudden I realized it was Grandma. Until there was no way that VCR could have been on. I had turned it off.
Jennifer, this sounds like a place you'd like to get in there and find out what's going on.
Yeah. It was called.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you a couple questions about
that.
How old were you at the time?
This is about 10 years ago. I'm sorry, I'm 44, so 34 years old.
Okay. Was there any young people in the room with you?
No, I was by myself, but every single person that ever worked there had encountered her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any kind of weird feeling up there?
Oh, yeah, one time we were in bed, and there was actually something white floating near the end of the bed. One other time I had witnessed that, and it was very transparent and see-through.
Why do they say ghosts bring a chill to the air? What's that all? What's the scientific explanation for that?
Well, there's a couple different theories about that as well. My personal theory is that when something is in the area, it gains energy from what's around it, from the source of where it's at, and it will leave a null, void type environment in its wake. So being cold is the way that it would take energy from the air would be like an energy drain, which would be a heat drain as well. So it could leave a cold spot.
Ann, thank you for calling.
Yeah, did you want to know the name of this place if you ever...
Absolutely. If you could tell me.
Yeah, it was called the Channel House. And it was right next to, it's on Lake Okauchee. You go into Conomowoc. It's off of 26. And there was everyone you talk to anyone that's lived on the lake more than, 15, 20 years, and everyone knows. And it's not the Channel House anymore. I don't know the name of it, but Hans Weisgerber that owns the Gast House and all those, he's got a big restaurant right next door, and it's on the lake on Lake Okauchee.
We should call it Grandma's.
It's on a lake. It's interesting because a lot of places that are haunted are near water sources.
Oh, it was until that had happened to me. I thought everyone was lying to me, kidding with me, and I truly, truly believe because there was and the dog. Do you find animals that act really strangely around?
Absolutely. Yes.
This dog was spinning on its hind legs in the air and dancing, and this was about a 9-year-old chocolate lab, not a puppy.
Weird.
And would you mind sending me information about that through my website?
Could I what?
Could you send me some more information about that, like where it's located and
sure.
address?
What is your website?
It's you can it's www.paranormalresearchgroup.com.
Okay. Yeah, there's people that love to talk about it down in that area, and they all know about Grandma.
Wonderful.
Thanks for your call, Ann. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
321-1310 if you have stories. If you want to say it's a bunch of hoopla, whatever you want to say, just give us a call. I want to get back real quick, Jennifer, to Chad's story, because he was talking about an experience he had where you were called and warned by someone you did not know.
It was a Hispanic woman from L.A.
Really?
Yeah.
How did you get your number?
There's an online chat program called ICQ.
Okay.
And I have an anonymous thing. We use it in the office to talk to each other.
So she called you out of the blue.
I just got a message out of the blue. Hey, I don't know. I've been trying to find you for months, and I have a warning for you.
And the warning was?
It was that something bad's going to happen. She couldn't pinpoint what it was, but I didn't believe her. I kept blowing her off, and finally she did a few things that really pinpointed me and kind of scared me. So I said, you're someone I know that's messing with me. I want you to immediately scan your driver's license and prove who you are. So she scanned her driver's license. Within a minute, I had a scanned copy of her driver's license, and it was definitely some woman I have never met before in my life.
Interesting. But she had a message for you, a warning that something bad was going to happen. She couldn't be more specific.
And she did not know what, yeah.
And what happened?
And then a few months later, I had a near-fatal heart attack.
Okay.
At age 34.
Yeah.
And it's because of a genetic disorder I didn't know about, and they had to shock me 12 times to bring me back.
How did she know? Who gave her a message? In other words,
she said it was in her dreams, dark spirits in her dreams.
And your name came up in her dream?
Yes. My first name, she said she knew my first name only.
Oh, she knew your first name only. How did she wind up finding it?
It doesn't make any sense how she found me because I don't use my name on there.
And you've talked to her since? Yes. Oh, you have? You called? Yes.
After I was in the hospital for weeks and recovered, I got back out and I didn't tell her what happened. I didn't tell her anything. I just said, what's been happening lately? And she said, everything's been quiet. Huh. And then I told her, well, I did have a heart attack. So
people, I suppose, when you tell them about that experience, at least the heart attack, that want to know if you had any of the typical sights and sounds that one is supposed to have when they die?
Well, when I was dead for a minute, a little over a minute. It was...
That sounds so weird. When I was dead...
Yeah.
Oh.
It was very peaceful. Yeah. It was very natural. I mean, everyone says...
tunnel of light, that kind of thing?
I didn't see a tunnel of light.
Yeah.
And that worries some people. Yeah. But it was like being in the liquid in a black, one of those magic 8 balls.
Okay.
So
we're going to come back and wrap this up before we get on to Medicare. Just a few more minutes. If you'll bear with us, Jennifer Laur from Paranormal Research and Chad from Nocturne Society talking about ghosts and the paranormal. If you need to call 321-1310, and we'll see you after the break. Thank you very much. Medicare Medicaid Regional Office in Chicago will, on his day off, be on the phone with us from Chicago to answer any last-minute questions you have about Medicare Part D. And I hope that Monday, that's your last day to apply or enroll, or if you wait till after that date, anytime within the next year you decide you need it, if you lose your other insurance or something, it's a 1% penalty for the rest of your days on the premiums. You wait another year, it's another 1%, so it's 2% for the rest of your days. Nice program, huh? Boy, they put that one together in a hurry. In the meantime, we're talking about ghosts and the paranormal. Chad and the Nocturne Society, Nocturne Society, there's no .com.
Right.
And also Jennifer Laur. I did it again, Jennifer. With the Southern Wisconsin Paranormal Research Group. We're talking about looking for ghosts. Are there ghosts? Do you have a ghost? Is there a ghost somewhere? What is a ghost? In your words, Chad, you said in an email to me, where did I place that? Paranormal, these are your words, is to me the idea that a person can either leave energy behind or continue being the energy that they were after death. It is certainly interesting that a body loses weight after the moment of death. There is also a theory that a person that learns to do energy manipulation in life might have a better chance of sticking around after death, although it didn't work for Houdini, did it so far? No. People that practice out-of-body experiences regularly would certainly have that ability if it is possible. This thing that I'd never heard before, that a body loses weight after the moment of death.
Mm-hmm.
That's
a few ounces, I believe.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you suppose that is?
They say it's the spirit, and possibly...
so the spirit might have weight?
Possibly.
Okay. Jennifer, what do you think of that?
It's interesting. I've never heard that before. Could also be other things, I think, but who knows?
Have you heard anything? I remember talking to a hospice person who told me that it's very common for someone moments before their death to see a lot of people around them, relatives, friends that are gone. And in fact, I know of a situation where someone said, I was there, saying, "What are you people doing here?" And it was described as all the old relatives who came by to help that person pass to the next stage in the universe. And so, have you heard anything like that, where ghosts are around a lot when somebody's going to die?
Yes, I have. I've heard many stories of that same type of event happening. And I guess all I have to say about that is I hope so.
Wouldn't that be a perfect time to do an investigation?
Yes, it
Probably
would.
Inappropriate, but a good time.
Right.
Yeah.
I spent time in the hospital and asked one of the nurses there. He'd been working there for, he said 20 years.
Yeah.
And I said, according to theories of what makes a ghost, this place should be the most haunted place on earth.
I suppose.
And he said he has never heard of any strange happenings going on. So, questions.
Well, they don't have the show. They don't have the floor, apparently. Jennifer, what's your next assignment? Do you have something going that you're getting ready for?
Yeah, actually, next weekend we have a Dinner with the Dead.
A Dinner with the Dead.
Yes, we have these about once a month throughout the summer months. We have a reportedly haunted location, usually a restaurant or a pub, and anyone's invited to come. And we sit and have dinner, and we the owners or wait staff will tell us all about all their hauntings and stuff that goes on there. So that's the next one coming up next weekend, the 20th of May, and that's That's at Whispering Oaks Restaurant in Bristol, Wisconsin.
Okay.
And that's on our website, so anyone's welcome to register for that.
Okay.
And we're going to actually be at the Ohio Tavern coming up in June, too. That's in Madison on Ohio Avenue. We're going to have a meet and greet type thing where we're going to be giving away some T-shirts and kind of like we have one of our members, Derek Arneson, is our official Ghostbuster. He has the official costume. Complete with proton pack and everything. And he comes out and, he'll be there in full attire. And it's just one of our what do you call it?
Fun events.
Our fundraising events, I guess, just to help us fund our research a little bit. And
here's a name, too, that if anybody's interested in reading more information. Chad Lewis out of Eau Claire, doesn't he have a book out?
Yes, he does.
Did anybody? Because I haven't read it. That's all I got is a name. So.
Yes, I have that book. I'm in it.
Oh, you're in it. Okay. What's it called?
It's, oh boy. The full title of it is, I'm going to grab it here quick so I know what it is. The Wisconsin Road Guide to Haunted Locations.
Okay. Well, that's certainly on my reading list for late at night. But, as skeptical as I am, every time I talk to people about ghosts and I become more sensitive to it or something. I don't know what it is exactly, but there's always a power of suggestion that I'm prone to. I want to thank you both for being on the show with us. I know we didn't get a lot of calls, but I think people are just listening to your stories, and probably tonight there'll be more ghosts seen than normally after folks listening to you.
Well, thanks a lot.
Thanks, Jennifer, for being with us, and Chad, you too. I appreciate it, and good luck to both of you in your continued hunt for whatever's out there.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks again.